Hello and welcome to another one of my Emacs org mode videos. Today I'm going to be going over customizing org mode with a few options, a few very easy to understand options to make org mode even more powerful on your machine. So Emacs comes with org mode support, org mode from by default. I think they added it in version 25 or 24. I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not a Emacs expert. But they added org mode, and the defaults are very kind of, I want to say, like, safe. They try to make sure that you can't screw up too many things, and they try to make sure that, things aren't too overwhelming. Org mode by itself can be very overwhelming, and these sane defaults that they've added make sure that it doesn't go out of control. But if you're at a point where you're like, hey, I know how to make subheadings, I know how to tab in and tab out of my subtrees, I want to do something more, this is the tutorial for you. So on the left here, I have my regular Emacs installation that I use. Let me just go ahead and just zoom in. And on the right here is Emacs with the -q being run, and -q means that it runs without any init file. So it's the same installation, same version or whatever, but it just does not include my .emacs file. And what we're going to do is we're going to slowly go through that file on the left here, and we're going to create like a pseudo .emacs file using the scratch pad. The scratch buffer in Emacs is basically, well, this is what it is. It's a buffer for you to put like text and whatever, but you can also put Lisp in there, meaning that you can put all of your configurations in there and run them, and they'll take effect immediately. And we're going to edit this file on the left, or we're going to see the changes, what the file here on the left looks like as we make all of the customizations. So let's open that first. I believe it was in Dropbox. Let's see. Notes, presentations, org mode. Yep. Whoops, I pressed enter too many times. So as you can see, the stock, version of Emacs, or the stock version of org mode, looks very different. I don't have these fancy bullets. The theme, you might be looking at the theme and thinking, wow, I have some custom theme. No, this is a built-in theme, so I wouldn't look at the colorizing too much, but yeah, you'll notice that I have the bullets that are a little bit different, and we're going to see more stuff as we go through. So the first thing we're going to do is, you see I have this little source block here, and we're going to require these two items in our, makeshift runtime.emacs file that I have. And this just brings in the org package, so I can run all of the org options, and the org babel package, which is the OB, which is for this source code block right over here. So we can work on the options as quickly as possible. So we're going to go ahead and paste that here. So Emacs allows you to, whoops, I don't want to actually save it, run code within Emacs to affect Emacs, if that makes sense. So you can change options, change configurations, run functions, and things like that at runtime, which is really nice. And I'm just going to do eval buffer. That's the command that I'm going to be running. All right, so we're not going to see any change here, but we already have these packages ready, so we can start going through the next few options. And, just to show, it shows up the same way. Again, this theme is kind of nice, so it looks like it's way nicer, but it's the same thing. I don't remember the name of this theme, but it is one of the built-in themes. It's like a deep blue or something. So next thing we're going to look at is source blocks, and I think this is like really where the power of Emacs shines. And the first thing we're going to want to do is load language support. So right now, and we're going to create like a scratch pad here. If you create a JS block, it will do the syntax highlighting that you want, right? One thing that you might want to do is actually run the code that you have in your source code block. If you do that right now, it's not going to work. It'll tell you no org babel execute function for JavaScript. Uh-oh. If I want to run it here, let me just go ahead and do revert buffer, so we can get the latest. Yes. I guess I didn't save it. Revert buffer. Yes. There we go. Okay. If we run it over here, what did I do? If you run it over here, the result will come back. I think I screwed up something with my system. I have like backups running or something. There we go. So you'll see that we get the result. So we want to enable this really cool feature here. And to do that, it's really simple. You just drop this into your, sorry, press the wrong button. You just drop this into your .emacs file. So imagine that this file over here is in .emacs. This is like .emacs, but without an actual file. Yeah, this is like .emacs. This is what you would drop in. And so this is pretty straightforward as well. You have the org babel do load languages function that you're running, and you're loading languages and you're loading JavaScript over here. So this is kind of the syntax. And there are a lot of different languages you can pick from. Why don't we go ahead and go to my bookmarks list real quick. We're going to open my Emacs file, my .emacs. And you can see I have a few languages enabled. I have Emacs Lisp, which is built in, so that's something that you can rely on always being available to run. I have Python, JS, awk, because I was trying to learn awk, but I dropped it, and Ruby. The only one I really use is JavaScript. So we're going to go ahead and just eval this buffer, and we should have support now. So let's just go ahead and do Control-C, Control-C. Control-C, Control-C executes a code block. We're going to type in yes that we do want to run it. I'm using it on two different files. Let me just go ahead and stop using this one. So Control-C, Control-C, yes. It's locked. I don't know those options. Quit. All right. There we go. So the result is 3. Yeah, it works here. We're going to stop using this buffer. We're going to just go ahead and stay here so that we don't have these weird conflicts. But you can see, now I can run all this stuff. And just so you can see this again, I'm going to go ahead and change this first number, save it. I don't think you need to save it, but I do anyway. Run it, and now it's 5. Yay, cool. So now we are able to do what's called literate programming, which means that you can write a bunch of code in org mode, or a bunch of documentation in org mode, dropping these code snippets, and you can actually run them. That's nice. Let's go ahead and enable better syntax highlighting. So you can already see that there is pretty good syntax highlighting, but this is an option that I see suggested almost everywhere, that you use this little option here. If you have some plugins that enhance syntax highlighting for whatever language you're using, this kind of would be it. This would make sure that enhanced syntax highlighting is being used in org mode, and that you're not just kind of relying on Emacs trying to figure out natively, hey, how does this work, or what is this supposed to look like? So let's go ahead and so we've got that down. Yay. So at this point, we are able to run languages. We're able to have the right syntax highlighting. You can check out one of my other videos that'll tell you about opening the source block in a separate buffer. It's just Control-C apostrophe, I believe. Yeah. I'm going to exit that. Control-C apostrophe. There we go. And the last option we want to do is no confirmation. So whenever I was running one of those blocks, you could see that it asked me, like, are you sure you want to run this? I don't want to have to do that every single time. So we're going to eval buffer. And like, I know that I'm using this feature and that I want to use this feature often, and I don't need to confirm it. So we're just going to do Control-C, Control-C, and you didn't see anything because I kept the numbers the same, but we're going to do Control-C, Control-C, and it's 10. This is like one of those guardrails that I was talking about. Emacs wants to make sure that as you're trying it out, and especially with Control-C being like such a common shortcut for copying instead of like executing stuff, I think it was important for org mode to have this guardrail there, that you don't just blindly evaluate stuff without realizing what's going on. And I think that if you have that confirmation, like, hey, are you sure you want to do this? It kind of gives you like hey, hold on, I got to figure out what's going on here, and I can cancel it. So yeah, so that's it for source blocks. I think that this will greatly enhance your ability to use org mode. Now the next thing we're going to do is look at the to-dos. So my to-dos in my regular Emacs installation are to-do in progress, done, and abandoned. I like these 4 states. I think they make the most amount of sense. For majority of my to-dos, I'm either waiting to do them, doing them, finish them, or decided not to do them whatsoever. In my work org mode, or the work org file that I use to capture my work tasks, I have actually one more state, and that's actually waiting. And that waiting state basically just means that I finished my work. I'm waiting for one of my coworkers, my boss, or somebody to get back to me about something. So to do that, we need to set states, and I don't have line wrapping turned on here, so let's just go ahead and go to the other file, which I think has a slightly smaller font. And this is actually pretty straightforward as well. So the set queue means basically like set a variable or set an option. Whoever is, knows Emacs and eLisp or Lisp is probably like, oh no, it actually means this and that. That's fine. Post it in the comments, and I'll know better. And I'm setting the org to do keywords, and I can set my own sequence. So right now, if you try to do, if you use to-dos, you only have 2 states, to do and done. I feel like that's completely counterintuitive. Either like I could be working on an item and I would want to know that I'm working on it. So this is the way you set it up. You can add as many keywords as you want to this, as many states as you want, and the pipe here kind of delimits. Whatever's before it is an undone state, a state of like, hey, things are still not done, and whatever's after it means that they're done and you don't need to focus on those anymore. They're kind of like, closed. And I think that's pretty cool. I think it'd be great to have this in-between in-progress state that would by default show up in orange or something. But you can set that up, I guess, manually if you want to. Yeah, so there are some options to be able to set colors for specific states. I'm not going to go into that, but I think these 4 states are definitely worthwhile. So we're going to go ahead and eval buffer. We're going to go ahead and go back here, and we're actually going to just set these. We're going to say that all of this is done. And you can see that the states are not here yet. The reason for that is that org mode requires you to, for certain options, especially these org mode options, not like global options, you have to kind of reload the file. So if you just go to like the title or tags or something, press Control-C, it'll reload the file and mess up the zoom. But now I have done, in progress, done, abandoned. You can see that the done states are green and the not done states are red in this case. So we're done with those. We're done with this one. We're going to go ahead and look at priorities. And we're going to set this to in progress. So Emacs, or the org mode, has the ability to set priorities on items. If you press Shift up, you'll immediately get to the B priority. You can go all the way up to A, and you can go back down to C as well. I don't believe that these options are really all that necessary. I think this is maybe like a little bit superfluous on my side. I just like by default for the priority to be A. And I also want to make sure that I specify that the lowest priority is C and highest is A in my view. I think that makes sense to me. I don't know what the defaults are, if A, C are low or high priorities, but this is the setup that I really want. So I'm gonna go ahead and do eval buffer, and I think by having that option in your Emacs file, it makes it easier to change later on, because you already know that you have that option there. So we're done with that. And we're gonna go ahead and not run Control-C, Control-C, because I don't think this is an important enough option to really demonstrate. But here on this other side, if I press Shift up, you'll see that it starts on A. If I do Shift down, you'll see that this is the progression, that the initial state is always going to be A, Shift up, or Shift down, I guess. It doesn't matter. It's always going to be A. All right, and then the last thing I want to do is time logging. So let me show you what this looks like. So when you have an item in to-do and in progress, what you can actually set is that when you do done, you get this new property that tells you when you finish that item. Now, I don't use that too much in like agendas or anything like that, but I do use it at work, and I prefer using it at work because it tells me when I actually finished an item. And I think you could do some really cool statistics and logging. You could extrapolate a bunch of cool data. But mainly what's important to me is for me to have a very easy automatic way to know which day I finished an item, because that's really important for my stand-ups and for my like weekly reviews at work. So we're gonna go ahead and add that. And this is a pretty easy option. Again, as you can see, like org has a ton of amazing options built in. So this is not, you know, we're not doing anything hacky. We're literally just enabling a lot of items that are disabled as to, I would say, not confuse the user. These are like power user settings, I would say. So like org log done time. Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty, like that's a very straightforward option. So now we have that. Let me go ahead and just do eval buffer again. We're gonna go ahead and rerun this. So Control C, Control C. I'm gonna zoom in, and we're gonna set this as done. And you can see it's been closed at, you know, this and this date. It looks like my time zone is a little bit off, but that's okay. I mean, I tend to be on like UTC or some other time zone, and so we're actually done with this item. And you can see that this item got its own closed state or closed property. All right, so that's, I would say that's like the majority of the stuff that I've used as I've worked with org mode. These three next items, if you don't want to watch the video any longer, you can go ahead and skip, but I think that they could be pretty useful as well. The first one is capture mode. So capture mode is the ability to quickly capture and save tasks to a file, no matter what you're doing in Emacs. So imagine that you're working on a bug fix and you're like, all right, I'm working on this bug fix. I'm going through a bunch of JavaScript files or Elixir files or Golang or whatever language you're working in, Python, Ruby, doesn't matter. And you come across another bug that is not related to your bug, and you're like, okay, well, I need to fix this, but I don't want to fix it right now. Let me just go ahead and put it in my to-do list. And so you can type in, you know, use the capture mode to quickly capture that task without leaving your current file. I'll show you all what this looks like, but think of it as like a pop-up that prompts you to add a task and automatically saves it in a predefined destination. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And the way this works is that I'm just defining a global key, global key maps, Control CC, to facilitate the org capture. I'm gonna do an eval buffer. The only problem is that this will work. Yeah, you can pick a task. So Control CC. I can't zoom in this buffer. So if you can't see it, it says select a capture template. Under it, it says T for task, capital C for customize or capture templates. I think that only takes you to documentation, and Q for abort. If I try to type in a task right now, it's going to throw an error and say, hey, I don't know where to save it. So we're going to go ahead and set those settings next. So we got the shortcut done. We're going to go ahead and add a template. All right. And let me go through the symbol. I'm going to actually zoom in on this a little bit more so I can show you all. So we're setting another variable, org capture templates. We're saying T for to do. So T is the shortcut name, which means that when you press Control CC to open up that little modal, that little buffer, when you press T, it'll automatically go to do. This is the title of the template. And then we're saying, hey, this is the path to the actual file. So what we're going to actually do is we're going to set it to the file that I currently have open, which is Dropbox, notes, presentations, and what's the name of it? Org mode custom org mode custom.org. And then you can set the headline, the heading under which that task gets saved. All right, so we're gonna say, let's just call it tasks. I don't have that heading there right now, and that's okay. And it's gonna create a heading of its own. So what does this template actually look like? It'll create a new subheading, right? So we could actually make this into like a regular task. If you've ever seen one of my, if you've seen one of my other videos, I kind of go through this, but I actually wanted to have it like a heading. To do percent, this is percent question mark. This is actually where my cursor is going to show up. we have a new line. We're gonna set the scheduled property, and in these parentheses, I'm actually have elisp. So I'm doing the org insert timestamp, and I'm saying, you know, what is the date today, and paste it in this mode, and then I have 2 new lines after that. And I like that. So we're gonna go ahead and eval buffer. Whoops. You're gonna hear a lot of whoops from me. There we go. We're evaluating the buffer. And this should work. So now if I do Control C, C, and T, yeah, there you go. So it already made it a second heading. So instead of just 1 star, it added 2 stars because it's under a major heading called tasks. We're gonna add a new item, finish this presentation. And you can see that it's kind of scheduled, but you have the access to majority of org mode stuff here. So I can do, you know, source blocks, I can run undo, I can do, let's see, Control C, D, I believe is for deadline. We'll set a deadline as well. All these cool things that you can do with it. You can't execute code blocks. You can see that Control CC is actually bound to finish. You have these neat little shortcuts up here to tell you about capture. We're gonna go ahead and just save it. And let's go ahead and go back to our org mode default. And whoa, what happened here? All the way on the bottom, we have our new task. So let's try to add a new one, another one. And you can see that as I'm typing it actually shows up. Let's see, upload video to YouTube. And we're gonna save that. And we're gonna add one more just for fun. Oops, I Control C, CT, check that audio works. Because I'm actually kind of scared about the audio, Control CC, and we have all these tasks. And now I'm gonna delete them because I don't really care about them. So that's the way that you can set up a template and a capture template in org mode. And the more you work in org mode, the more these small things are gonna add up to be really important for you. Again, at this point you can still, you know, exit out of the video and get a lot out of it, but if you want to keep watching, we're going to go through org bullets. Org bullets is this neat thing that creates these little, you know, these little items here, these little bullets. So org bullets is a package that you have to install. So you have to do Emacs package install org bullets. I don't think well, I'm not going to install the package here, but I have it installed here. And then the way you configure it is you just do require and you add this hook here. And that'll make it work. That means that every time org mode loads up, it'll load up the org bullets mode as well. Again, not going too far into it. There are some cool options here. I like the stock options, but you have the main heading. You can see that's a little dot. The secondary heading is an empty dot. It's a nice visual indicator, and it removes the leading bullets by default. It becomes a star, and then based on the whatever theme you're using, it changes colors. You know, and that's cool. You can customize those bullets yourself as well. The last thing we're gonna actually go through is agenda, and the only thing I really want to do here is set the global key because there is no global key for it. If you do use agenda, if you intend on using the agenda, you're gonna set up this global key. This is the one that I see like everywhere, Control C-A, and let's go ahead and look at that. There are a few options that you have to set up with agenda that I'm not really going through just because it's a little bit too involved, but in my Emacs, you can see that where is the agenda? I have the agenda here. Okay, so the only other option that you really need to set is this one, and that's the, you know, what file do I need to look at for the agenda? And you know what? Let's just go ahead and go through it. We're gonna go ahead and quit it out of that. We're gonna change this presentation a little bit, hotkey, and we're gonna do, what is it? Place to save or whatever, and let's go ahead and just write this out. So the way this works is it elisp or Emacs Lisp? Which one? Elisp. Okay, got it. So this is the syntax: set queue org agenda files quote, and then you have the location. We're gonna set it for this file that we're looking at right now. Org, what is it called? Org mode custom.org. A bunch of parentheses because we're using elisp. We're gonna copy that. We're gonna paste it here, and we're gonna evaluate it. Now I'm gonna run, let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and run the agenda. You can run the agenda wherever you're at, Control-C-A, and we're gonna show, let's see, list all to-do entries. I don't want that. Let's just look at the regular agenda. Well, that's empty. That sucks. The agenda kind of goes through all of your to-do items, like, to-do, you can do a search for keywords, you can do all kinds of cool stuff with it. And I'm trying to figure out what's the easiest way for us to just look at all the stuff that's here. So let's go ahead and do a search. We're going to do a regex search for source, I guess. No? Alright. Well, this is a bad one. I wasn't prepared for this one. Yeah. Yep, alright. Well, let's go ahead and set this as a to-do item, and that'll make it easier. So Control-C-A, we're going to go ahead and look at all the to-do entries. Nope, still not getting it right. Yeah, this is why I didn't really want to mess with it. I probably have the path wrong or something. Presentations. D, Dropbox, notes, presentations. Yeah, yeah, that's weird. It's weird that it's not working, and I just exited out of it. So that's it. That's it for the video. As you can see, I went through a whole list of things that you could do with it. We're going to do revert buffer here so we can see what the final result looked like. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to have all these settings. I think it's not too much. It's not too overwhelming. This video is like 30 minutes long, and after 30 minutes, you have basically everything you need for org mode, power use. Mainly, I think the source blocks is a huge thing. Having to-dos, to-do states is a huge thing, and kind of the rest of it is nice sugar on top of it if you want to really dive in. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Subscribe and like this video and all that stuff.